fish underneath sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. Raw passion, all action. When it takes, racing on water, racing with impact. Give it all, everything. Give it all, everything. We are racing. When it takes, we are SailGP.
Race for the title is on.
It's a battle royale, toe to toe. Oh my word!
Look at the speed.
This is Formula One on waters.
They're going to be flying. Give the fans a bit of a show.
Here we go. And it all comes down to this. Hey, look at this. What a moment out. It's so tight. We're now set for the final. The race is most certainly on, and now the countdown is on as we get you ready for the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix, the 2025 season grand final. Alongside Olympian Stevie Morrison and former Emirates GBR crew member Hannah Diamond, I am Todd Harris. Guys, it's been a long and winding road, but Hannah, here we are. Your thoughts as we enter this last event?
Well, it's been an amazing season so far, and the best of the action is still to come. So really looking forward to this weekend and seeing what it brings.
Mr. Morrison.
Well, it's been just amazing, hasn't it? And I think what's so cool is how tight everything still is. It's been a different season. There's been a lot of changes for the crews to sort of deal with. T-foils, record speeds, wing collapses, boat crashes. You know, I mean, it's been amazing. We've got the top 4 teams.
Right.
Still in with a shot of getting to the final. And that grand final, obviously, is going to just come down to that execution. And I think what we've seen is the level of the league this year has just gone on. You know, the team at the bottom can win races.
Right.
Anyone in the mid-fleet can win events. You know, we've had 7 different event winners, haven't we? And, I mean, it's just unbelievable, the standard of the fleet now and how tight this weekend's going to be. I mean, 4 teams can make it. I think Emirates GBR are in pretty good shape. They've got quite a big buffer. But, yeah, you've got the defending champions desperately fighting for their lives.
So let's drill it down. We've got 12 international teams competing at SailGP, but now as we've reached the final event, we have 4 that are really in contention. You've talked last year's champions, Los Gallos, Spain. You've got Emirates GBR who lead the overall, and then you have the Blackfalls of New Zealand and the 3-time champions, Bonds Flying Roos. And wow, you talk about the season standings and you look at these numbers, Stevie, it is so close. And you look back on some of the incidents that took place in events 4, 5, and 6, and they are having an impact now on event 12.
Yeah, I mean, right from the off, isn't it? It's just been so crucial. Bonds Flying Roos didn't quite make the final in Dubai. They were the form team on the first day in that first event, and they slipped off a bit. One bad race, suddenly they're sort of mid-pack, and that would have been them feeling comfortable. Blackfoils have had a bit of an issue, haven't we? And Hannah, fortunately this weekend, you've got the lovely job of keeping across the maths, but I think the important thing we're all going to have is, and yes, there's other battles winning. There's still $800,000 up for the event winner here in Abu Dhabi, but Spain basically have got to go out and win pretty much. I mean, they haven't mathematically got to do that, but if the Emirates GBR are 9th or better, they're in the final. Yep. Done. New Zealand Blackfoils, 6th or better. Done. Australia, they've got to be in the top 4 to guarantee it on their own. Yeah. So if they're 4th and Spain win, they're still in. But it's really, really tight. And I think for us staying across those maths, but also for the coaches and everyone else out on the water, because we've seen that in this light wind, the detail and that accuracy and sort of patience when you've got to take the boat off in the light wind. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, it's not as exciting as the windy grand finals we've had in San Francisco. And it'll be different.
Right.
My feeling is it could be a lot more exciting because actually a minute mistake you could get absolutely hammered for this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's the same event for everyone, but the strategy over those first qualifying races to make the grand final is so different for all of the teams who are in contention. So like you say, if you're Emirates GBR, it's a much kind of easier process for them to be able to guarantee their place in the final. If you're the Spanish, you've got to be aggressive. There's a lot of things you can't control within this racing, but they really need to make sure that they're performing on their best. They're firing as well as they can from race 1. Because again, with a light wind venue, we don't know how many races we're going to be able to get in before that final cut is made. And those 3 teams will eventually obviously face off for the grand final itself.
Yeah, it's a little bit like musical chairs. There are 4 teams, but there's only 3 chairs. And through 11 events, and what Stevie talked about, all the parity in SailGP has gotten very interesting. But we've gotten to this point, we've arrived in the Middle East, and now it comes down to who will make that grand final. Only 3 teams. Let's take a moment and meet the 4 contenders.
These are the contenders for the Rolex SailGP Season 5 Championship. Emirates GBR have racked up 11 race wins and 29 top 3 race finishes. The Black Foils rank second with 10 race wins and 24 top 3s, followed by the Bonds Flying Rose with 9 race wins and 22 top 3s. There's a significant gap back to 4th place Los Gallos, who have only scored 5 race wins, but they have finished in the top 3 18 times, proving that while they haven't taken the top spot as many times, they are consistently towards the front of the fleet. The defending champions' performance peaked mid-season, taking back-to-back titles in San Francisco and New York. But since then, they've finished too close to the mid-table, and that means they'll have to fight hard for a spot in the grand final.
Meanwhile, Spain is just flirting with disaster.
They have, though, won 2/3 of the finals they've made. The highest event final conversion rate in the fleet by a long way. They have the toughest job of any in the top 4 to make the grand final. To put it simply, they need to beat their nearest rivals Australia by 4 places. It's no surprise that the triple champions are a contender for the season title, but 2025 hasn't exactly gone their way. After winning on Kiwi waters in front of an incredible crowd in Auckland, they haven't managed an event win out of the 5 finals they've made.
Sorry, guys. Oh, mate.
And at the last event in Cadiz, they posted their worst result all season.
I don't know where to go here.
However, they have a trump card up their sleeve. They are the top performing team in sub 15 km/h winds.
Look at it, unbelievable there from the Australian.
The catastrophic wing incident in San Francisco was certainly a setback, but this team has the history to dig deep. And when there are 2 million reasons to make it count, Tom Slingsby has proven he can deliver, winning 3 of 4 grand finals. The Black Foils came out firing in Dubai, but it took them all the way until Portsmouth to claim their second event title. They've made an impressive 6 podiums across the season, most of those in second place. Their strength in the fleet races is coming back from tough positions that keep them in the fight.
I anticipate a lead change here. This could well be the Black Foils leading up at gate 3.
But with only 3 F50s in the grand final, it's a different game, and if the Cadiz event final is anything to go by, the Black Foils will have learnt their lesson in letting Emirates GBR get away. Championship leaders at Emirates GBR have made it to 6 finals this season, proof of their incredible consistency.
And they make the 3rd final in a row, and the Emirates winning moment goes to Emirates GBR.
While Dylan Fletcher is a new driver for the team, selected by Ainsley as he stepped into the CEO's role, he's no stranger to SailGP, having raced Season 1. They have an average finish of just over 4th place, the best stat in the league. However, of the 6 finals they've made, they've only won 2 true finals, with Saint-Tropez being decided without Super Sunday. It's fair to say they dipped in performance mid-season by their own standards, but by Sassnitz, not only had they managed to repair the F50 after a huge incident, they came out fighting to make another event final. Having won in Cadiz, this team is on form, and it's fair to say they are the strongest contender.
So those are the contenders, 4 teams battling for 1 spot as a champion of the season. Stevie, you have to start with Emirates GBR. Of course, they are the cream of the crop at the top of the board right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, that VT, it just showed us, didn't it? They're the favourites. I mean, they're top of the leaderboard. I guess as well, they won in Cadiz, and they've looked like they've been on a real gainer of momentum. They seem to be sailing the boat pretty fast. I suppose worst thing that's happened for them in a way has been the break. Like, if we'd have gone straight into this after Cadiz, then you'd say, OK, wow, they're looking, Australia look a bit vulnerable, and they're really on form. But I don't know how this break's going to affect them.
No, and I think, with it potentially being a lighter wind final, all of the teams that we've seen who are contenders to make the final, they'd probably identify the lighter winds as one of their weaker points. So I think it makes it a little bit more open. And I don't know how much we can use the past season as a form book, if that makes any sense, because everyone is wanting to win this one race. They'll have been taking the time to look at how things have kind of evolved over the season and what their game plan, their strategy is. But I think it's really open, to be honest, for the final.
I think it's a great point, too. Dylan Fletcher, we think he's a rookie his first year, but he's not. He was around in season number 1, so he comes back in season number 5, and he is at the helm, and they are on a roll, no question about it. All right, so the most important thing when it comes to the contenders is everyone will have to deal with one thing, and that is the weather conditions. And for more on that, we check in down on the water with Lisa Darmanin.
Hi, Todd. Yeah, the weather is always so important in sailing. But here in Abu Dhabi, we are expecting it to be fairly light, around 14 to 22 kilometers per hour. But the good news is we've got this new wing. It's 27.5, so a little bit bigger than the all-purpose 24, but not that big 29. So the sailors have had a little bit of opportunity to test it. They seem to pop a hull a little bit earlier, and also we've got those light air T-foils. So hopefully it's still going to be a really exciting race course. But I tell you what, the race course is fairly small, so it's going to be really condensed racing, really exciting. In terms of people on board, we're not really sure what we're going to get until just a couple minutes before racing, so the teams will be preparing for anything.
All right, before we let you go, Lisa, we got to bring you up to speed, or you bring us up to speed on people on board, namely Peter Burling. We understand he's had an injury.
Yeah, unfortunately, in practice, Pete actually was checking something in the daggerboard case and cut the top of his finger off. So he did miss one practice day, then he's been back on the boat. So not the ideal introduction into the grand final weekend for the Black Foils. But knowing Pete, he's pretty tough and he'll give it everything.
All right, thank you very much. Much more from Lisa Darmanin as we continue our countdown. All right, Hannah, let's talk about these wings first of all, and then we'll get to the finger. 27.5 meter wings. Is this the kind of wing that's going to be perfect for the conditions we're going to see this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely adds to kind of the roster of equipment that's available to use within SailGP. But adding in a new piece of equipment at this stage of the season, some teams will cope better with that than others. There's so much data from the Oracle Cloud that the sailors can access to be able to learn as much as they can from the training days. But for some of them, it might kind of spook the herd a little bit. So it's going to be about consolidating the learning they've had from the practice days and who can ultimately get on top of that equipment as quick as possible.
And Stevie, to Hannah's point, is this like an extra club in your golf bag? Is this another tool?
Well, it's certainly a new club, isn't it? I think, ultimately technology moves forward, doesn't it? So for the league as a whole, the boats are going to perform better. You know, Lisa's saying there, they tip over, go up onto one hull quicker, they're going to get faster, they're lighter, so the boats will take off. So it's an advance, it's better. But yeah, it's a completely new club, and you want to put the green jacket on, don't you, at the end of the Masters, and everyone's got to use this new club. So it's who's going to adapt quickest, who's going to learn quickest and take things forward.
All right, let's talk about Peter Burling, the injury. You guys are professional sailors, you're out in the water. The thought of that just makes me cringe right away. Steve, what kind of problems is it going to propose for Pete with the injury to that finger?
Well, it's quite a tactile job on that steering wheel. You know, you've got a mechanism that you can fly the boat. You can change the settings for the amount of downforce you can put on your rudders, the righting moment you get. And so, yeah, I suppose we're all wondering, aren't we? You know, can Pistol Pete still pull the trigger?
Have you ever had an injury like this before a race where you're like, oh, this is not good?
Well, I think it's an interesting time for it to come in the season, obviously, with so much riding on this event. But also, I think it kind of speaks to the teams have to have some resilience within their rosters. And we saw that Liv Mackay has been driving some of the training, and how much use that is to actually, for Pete coming back in for racing, I don't know. But the teams have to be thinking and considering these things are going to happen as the seasons go on and as the league progresses and grows. They're going to have options and backups for situations like this.
But I think to the point, Liv being out there steering on the wheel, it's going to make Blair, make Leo Takahashi. They're going to still have the times there. They're going to have to be sort of on it with their roles, working with Liv and all the rest of it. So I think it won't be a huge deficit towards the Black Foils, to be perfectly honest. But it's not great, is it? It's not good for Pete. And I think it highlights, stick to your job.
Well, what do sailors do when they're not out sailing? Of course, they go back out on the water, but this time on a different ride, as they all checked out Surf Abu Dhabi.
SailGP no doubt has the most talented sailors in the world, but there are some hidden talents amongst the fleet, and they were quick to show their skills at the incredible Surf Abu Dhabi before racing. Diego Botín, Peter Burling, and Seb Schneider were the drivers of the fleet who faced the waves. It was safe to say that the athletes had their fill out in the desert. However, there could only be one wave of the day, and that honor went to Germany Deutsche Bank's James Verbowski.
I managed to get a really good wave, nice barrel section through the middle, and managed to take out the wave of the trip, which I'm very, very happy about. Yeah, it's so fun. sometimes it doesn't live up to your expectation, but this certainly did. It was incredible, as good as I could have hoped.
It was all fun and games at Surf Abu Dhabi, just good vibes and a lot of barrels. But now it's crunch time in the SailGP 2025 season grand final, and the surf will have to wait until next time. Let's see who handles the waves best out on the Arabian Gulf.
All right, Hannah, did you know there were that many good surfers in SailGP?
I didn't, but it's kind of not surprising. Water
Yeah.
sports, you know, we all love being on the water, so I'm not surprised to see some of those athletes.
How bad do you want to get down there? Because those are some good waves.
Oh, that looks a bit. Yeah, he said to the head, didn't he? I managed to get a good wave. I think they were just coming on tap, weren't they? It looked like it was an incredible experience. And yeah, we've had John Florence out in an F50 from the surfing world, and so that could, you know, crossing over. I think maybe James did a better job on a surfboard than John did on the F50.
But how impressive was that? That wave was so consistent and some decent size.
Yeah, no, it's amazing technology, isn't it? And I think still like that ability to be in Mother Nature's probably got the special edge to it. But yeah, if it's on tap like that and it's basically picture perfect every time. Pretty lucky teams.
Well, as we continue the countdown to the grand final in Abu Dhabi, we want to go back down water side. Lisa Darmanin has caught up with two more athletes, Juan Cardona of Spain and Ian Jensen from Emirates GBR.
Thanks, Todd. Well, I'm here with Ian Jensen, wing trimmer of Emirates Great Britain, and Joan Cardona, the grinder aboard Los Galos. So, Ian, we'll start with you. I guess 27.5 metre wing, that's a new thing this weekend. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, we've only sailed a couple of days on it. Still learning a lot, but it's definitely a step forward in these conditions from the 24.
And it's predicted to be light wind. Are we going to see you up and foiling? Is it more likely with that wing that you can foil at lower wind speeds?
You can definitely get the hull up at lower wind speeds, and I'd say you accelerate a bit better. So yeah, probably more likely to foil with that wing than the other one. And just fingers crossed that the breeze comes good for us and we get some good racing in.
Well, your team is sitting in first, but Joan, you guys are sitting in fourth. What is the Spanish fire this weekend? What's the plan? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a comfortable situation. We don't have much pressure. We just need to go full on and see what happens. Obviously, they are in a more advantage situation, but yeah, we'll try to make the most out of it for us.
And is it going to, what should the fans be looking out for? Are you guys going to go attack the Aussies, or are you keeping your cards close right now?
I guess we will have to wait and see, no? But for sure, we want to make sure we at least try everything to be in that final and regain the title we won last year.
And it is quite tricky. Obviously, you don't know if you can have 6, 5, 4, 3 people on board. How is it when you adapt? How do you think your team goes when you go less people?
Yeah, I think it's not a trouble for us. I mean, we're comfortable in all the conditions, and yeah, we'll just make the most out of it.
What would it mean for your team to come back and win a second championship?
I mean, it would mean everything, I guess. For everyone winning this league, it's the best thing you can win in sailing nowadays. So yeah, it would just be amazing.
Well, Ian, you've been with the team for a couple of seasons, missing out on the grand final, being in the grand final. What would it mean to Emirates Great Britain?
I mean, it would cap off a great year. Our philosophy is it's one race and we just give ourselves the best chance, and if it happens, then it's a cherry on top of a great season. And yeah, I mean, that's what everyone strives to do, and it would be incredible.
Well, thank you so much both for chatting. Good luck this weekend. I can't wait to watch. I hope you enjoy the racing, and we'll take it back to the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa, as we continue with the countdown to the grand final. Stevie, I'll start with you in Spain. A new wing coming aboard. Is this a great equalizer for everyone because everyone's going to see a new piece of equipment, but Spain is in that situation where they have to be almost perfect out on the water?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the maths is what's going to become important, isn't it, in terms of Spain have got to kind of be 4 places ahead of Australia to have a chance. They've got to then, I think, have 6th ahead of New Zealand to get into that final. And I don't really see the British team being able to drop out. They'd have to have an absolute... It is mathematically possible. Sure. I think what I'm really excited about is to see who does GBR want in the final? That's my question. Would they rather have Spain than Australia, or Spain than the Black Foils? You know, because potentially GBR could go and influence everything. Sure. I think with that new wing, maybe the saving grace for, say, Australia or the Black Foils, who the British or the Spanish, the British might decide they don't want in the final, is that actually the British are going to have the chance to learn the wing a little bit, maybe be able to experiment a little bit. Whereas, Spain, they've got to have basically worked out how to use that wing straight away and be fast out the bag. And I mean, I don't know, you tell us, Hannah, you've been on the boats. Like, how actually hard is it to learn one of these new wings? You've had several come in, but this new adaptation, it's going to be quite different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be quite different. And I think also, the race course here is quite small as well, so there's not a lot of space. So it's going to be about finding what space you can on the race course. So the wing size is obviously different, but being able to learn it fast and then execute on the day is going to be really tricky. But the Spanish, they were in the same position last year. They were on the outskirts of making the final. They just got in and then they won it. So they've got form in that respect.
I'm convinced if they make the final, they win the final. Because they'll just have so much, mojo and energy and just be firing on it. So I completely agree. If they get there, they're going to be absolutely on fire.
Hannah, do you think your former team, Emirates GBR, is excited about this new wing? Or do you think it's like, hey, we had good momentum rolling with the equipment we had, why mess with this?
I think, the team they've got on Emirates GBR, they're so experienced in the F50. Ian Jensen, really analytical sailor. He'll have been digging into everything he can. And he's also done so many hours on these wings that actually, for him, I think it will be quite an easy transition. It's just going to be about, can you execute the start in the final, get yourself ahead, and then stay ahead from there?
I think she's been a bit political there, Tom. I think they'll be annoyed. Because I think they were fast. They had this whole transition to T-foils and then how you balance that out with the power that the 24-metre wing can come in with and how you match that to your foils. The British seem to have really mastered that. This is a change. I mean, I totally agree that Ian Jensen is, is right. Well, he's at the top of the board, isn't he? So, of course, he's the best wing trimmer or one of the best. So, but they all are. And there's that little bit of who just finds the juju and the magic in the wing first that perhaps you can guarantee with time, you can't guarantee with just this one weekend. So I'd be livid if I was the British. But anyway, there you go.
Well, let's go to the source because we want to go back down on the dock. Lisa Darmanin is caught up with two more top-end sailors, of course, with Liv Mackay and Jason Waterhouse with Lisa.
Thanks, Todd. Well, I managed to grab some athletes down here. I've got Jason Waterhouse from the Bonds Flying Roos and Liv Mackay from the Black Foils. Liv, this is what we'd all been waiting for. How excited are you to finally get racing this weekend?
Yeah, it's super exciting. It feels like, we've been building up for all this year, all this season, really hard work, all into coming into this weekend. So, yeah, it's looking good and everyone's ready to fight it out this weekend, so looking forward to it.
Now, it's been a bit of an unfortunate, obviously, intro to the grand final for you guys with Pete getting injured. You got some driving time, but is the team ready and raring to go still?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, really unfortunate and really challenging week for us, but, we're one big family and really feel like everyone's stepped up to really, fight the challenge. It's been a really good week. We've learned a lot in other areas, so I think, coming into this weekend, we're in the best way we can be right now.
And Jace, obviously it's been a really up and down season for your team. You've had highs and lows. How's everyone feeling? You pumped to finally get racing as well?
Yeah, we've had a big break since Cadiz, and like you mentioned, Cadiz wasn't our best event, so we're pretty disappointed leaving there, but we got some of that much needed rest and had plenty of time to sort of think how we're going to approach this weekend. And looking forward to the racing.
A bit of a different intro to a grand final weekend as you guys are used to, obviously kind of locking your spot in the grand final in previous seasons. Do you think that sort of pressure is going to help you guys? Does Tom enjoy the fight with the Spanish, or you prefer to be at the top?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's almost two events in one. I think all of us, no one's safe in my opinion, and it's such a light, variable conditions racetrack. So we have to all make sure that we're just focus on making sure we stick to our racing processes, and then if the final does come, we have a plan of attack and we're going to try to execute that.
So in sailing, you just got to be so adaptable. You kind of got to be ready for anything. Is that kind of like the beauty and the art of sailing?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I love dealing with Mother Nature. We don't know what's going to happen. I think also all these teams have had enough time to study what they think. I think we know what the Kiwis are going to do in the pre-start. I'm sure they have an idea of what we're going to do, but we're going to try to shake up the bag a bit and see what happens.
And Liv, have you guys been studying hard on all the Aussie tricks?
Well, as Jason said, nobody's safe, so I wouldn't say we're targeting one team, but I think it will be an interesting weekend with the light air conditions. Anything can happen, and as Jason said, it does feel like two events in one, so hopefully it'll make for some good TV.
Well, I'm certainly going to enjoy the racing. I hope you two have a fabulous weekend. Thanks for chatting and good luck. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Guys, to be fair, we didn't get a lot from Jason and Liv, right? They're not going to share everything with us.
No, and I think they are definitely keeping their cards a bit close to their chest, but especially because, for Australia, they're not definitely in the final yet, so they've got a big hurdle to jump before they can guarantee their spot in the final.
How big of a rivalry is that, New Zealand and Australia?
Well, they've been rivals for a long time, but I think their styles are so totally different. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over this weekend. Tom Slingsby, really aggressive all of the time. The Kiwis, Blackfoils, a little bit more understated. I think they've been climbing the ranks really well this season.
Stevie, we always think of the Kiwis, the Blackfoils, of doing really well in light wind. They won the event early to start the season off. But if you look at the data, it's the Aussies that do better in the light breeze.
Yeah, I think the Aussies have been pretty fast, actually. That they made this year the change. They got Chris Draper in on the wing. I mean, obviously, gone from 3-time champion Carl Langford. So we're not saying this, but there's a subtle. Every sailor, I think, has a slight preference for a bit more wind, bit less. And Chris has got those sort of, soft hands, if you like, and just gentle, real feel type of sailor. And I think the straight line speed of the Australians has been real good. I think what's really interesting is Hannah's point is, we don't know who's in the final. About 2 weeks ago, I was thinking, the top three, it's going to be GBR, it's going to be the Blackfoil, it's going to be Australia, no problem. And then we saw the practice racing yesterday, and it's light, isn't it? But now they can foil. Things can change real quick, and actually, things could really be on a knife edge for Blackfoils and for Bonds Flying Rouge. I think any mistake by them. If Spain can step up and make something happen, it's good. And then the other thing I loved was that little idea of we're going to go to this 3-boat grand final. So 3 teams are going to make it. And they will have a playbook and a plan for how they expect each other to work on it. And my theory is that Slingsby's going to want to shake it up and change up his start strategy in that pre-start for the 3-boat final to give people a different look that they're not expecting. I think Jason hinted at that. Like, we've got a plan. We know they'll have a plan, but are they going to be ready for our plan? So I think the sort of, the gamesmanship in between it is just what I can't wait to see. Those final 40 seconds where they've got to make effectively a $2 million decision and a call that's going to be centimetres in it, millimetres in it potentially. I mean, it's just epic, isn't it?
It's a total of $3.2 million on the line this weekend in Abu Dhabi. So, Stevie, let's talk about the format and how it all plays out, because obviously the conditions are going to be the biggest key factor, but you've got 3 races, and then we'll know.
Yeah, well, we're hoping to get 4 races for the 12 boats on the first day. So that's going to sort of set the scene and give us that idea. And then hopefully 3 more fleet races on the second day with the 12 boats out there. They're getting points the whole way through, 10 points if you win the race, of course. If you're in those back 2, you get no points at all. So that's clearly disastrous. And then we'll see the top 3 boats on the season standings. So all 12 events, that global calendar we've seen, are going to come together. The top 3 boats will go to the grand final. And they're going to race 1 race, winner takes all. I mean, $2 million. I mean, it's pretty mental for anyone in sailing to think of that much money on this 1 race, but also the title. And for a lot of them, their egos are almost, bigger than their bank balances. So they're kind of going to want to have that, win and take it on. So we're going to have that. But I think, it's worth remembering that the winner of the event in Abu Dhabi, so those first 5 fleet races, $800,000. If you win the season overall, $400,000, and you win that 1 race, $2 million. So you can do the maths, but it's a lot of money up for grabs that someone could take. And I'm pretty sure Australia, New Zealand, or Emirates GBR could win all of that this weekend.
Hannah, the league's being very ambitious, though, as to Stevie's point. A lot of times we do 3 and 3. We're going 4. They're going to try to get 4 fleet races in on day number 1, and then 3 on the second day on Sunday, and then the grand final. As a sailor and a former member of Emirates GBR, how do you feel about that, getting 7 in light breezes?
I think as a sailor, you always want to do more racing because I guess you feel, especially if you're a strong team and you're sailing well on that weekend, the more races you do, the more likely you are to have a point separation. But we see with SailGP so often, if you start off the weekend badly, you have a bad start, you have a bad race to begin with, you're not picking up that many points to set off your weekend. So you really can't afford to start badly, both in that race, but also that race 1, you have to get a good result, just so that you can get something on the board, feel confident in your settings, and start the weekend off on a good note.
All right, I'm not going to give you $2 million if you win, but I need to get your predictions now. I was talking about money, Stevie.
Yeah.
Who do you like? Who makes the grand final? And who wins the whole thing?
I still stick it. I still go with Emirates GBR, Blackfoils, and Australia. I'm sorry to Los Gallos and the Spanish fans out there. And I believe that in those grand finals, the best starter I've seen this season's the Blackfoils and Peter Burling. And I think if they get to mark 1 first, they win.
Done and dusted.
But what I did see in the practice racing today was that there's opportunities on that race course. He's going to have to keep making good decisions. Pete and Liv are going to have to see the breeze around the racetrack. I'm going with the Blackfoils, but I think Australia and Emirates GBR are fast enough that if the Blackfoils then make a mistake, they can make an overtake.
Hannah?
I don't want to say this team, but I do think Emirates GBR are kind of, they're at the top of the season standings.
We know you're biased, Hannah. Come on.
I think it takes a lot to convince me away from the consistency they've had over the season. And they have started to be able to win those final races, which earlier on in the season, we were seeing them getting a lot of second and third places. But I will caveat that with, if the Spanish make the final, I think they've got a really strong shot doing the same as they did last season and taking the overall crown.
And win the title back.
And we haven't even mentioned the guy that's won it 3 times.
This is
who's
true.
actually executed when it matters. So, I mean, it's going to be just so tight, Tom.
Let's remind you, $800,000 goes to the event winner. $2 million goes to the overall grand final winner. That's the 3-race winner take all. $400,000 for the season points winner. So $3.2 million on the line as we get you ready. We're just moments away from the racing. So for Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, Lisa Darmanin, and I am Todd Harris, we hope you enjoy the coverage of the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Sail Grand Prix 2025 season grand final. We'll see you afterwards.